Good evening, everybody. How's it going? I forgot my water. Damn it. Sorry I'm late. It's Sunday wrap, and this afternoon I had a chat with Rasa on my channel. So if you want to go and check that out, it's there. It was Free Comic Book Day yesterday. I got some stuff from that. I read a few of them tonight, actually. Read a few more books tonight that we didn't get to in the chat, so I'll probably start with those. Watching Andor, and just watched 2 more episodes, so we watched 5 of them so far, and it's really moved into an area that I find pretty interesting. I really like some of it's presented it. First of all, it looks beautiful. The buildings, the shots and everything look pretty great. There's quite a few shots that are extremely Blade Runner. So I don't know how hardcore Star Wars fans are going to, what they're going to think of that. But the tech and just the look of everything, the costumes, the uniforms, they really fit into the world of, the New Hope Star Wars, the very first one, for those of us of a certain age that we saw, right? So it does a good job of really planting itself in that world. Dan Nelson, how you doing, man? The music is pretty great too. That's one of the things that stood out to me about episode 4 and 5. I'm really digging the music in it. It's got a bunch of nods to kind of like classic sci-fi kind of soundtracks, but there's these really nice moments intercut within that I think make it really, really exceptional. I might look for the soundtrack, download it. But I mean, it's all politics stuff. It's like this part of it is this banality of bureaucracy that I really enjoy about the show as they're going to day-to-day business. I'm also loving all the different factions, the people that are in power, the people that are trying to get power, the people that are just kind of extremists and just wanting revolution. So it's a really nice mix. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there's like so many kind of inner workings and who's playing who and who's actually, it's like a good heist movie where there's a small gang. You think that you figured out all the angles, but you don't know what angles are being left unspoken and what people don't know. So, whole mess of kebabs. That sounds pretty great. Yeah, it just is really developing very, very nicely, even though it was a very, very rocky start. It does take a little bit. I don't know why they don't do enough kind of previous season on Andor sort of thing at the beginning of the first episode and maybe before each episode if there's some key moments. So it does leave you at times trying to play a bit of catch up to kind of remember and press your memory on what the hell they're talking about that happened in the first season. But that said, though, I'm still really digging it. On the union front, just because I want to talk about this a little bit. So we've done we certified our very first non-union show here in Manitoba. We have a little bit of non-union work that happens in film. Most of it, I personally am fine leaving alone. I don't think it's necessary to unionize all these different areas. I think that they're just good existing as they are. We're a city of a certain size. But there's some stuff that's come in recently, 2 shows that came in non-union that had a budget big enough to kind of sign up with us. One in particular decided to sign up with all the other unions and guilds here in town for film, but left us out of the picture. So the kind of messaging that's happened before is sort of like trying to pull people off of shows. I've never been a fan of that. People need to work, especially in our industry, especially this year. There's most of us, myself included, that haven't worked since November. So any sort of work that comes along, I don't want to punish our members who are just going to make a buck. To me, in my mind, it's the employers, the producers that should be looking to take care of these people and looking to pay them their fringes, health and welfare, and signing up with us. So for the first time in our history, we've done that. So we're currently in The Manitoba Labor Board has made the decision. We're currently in negotiations. There's all that process that's happening as well too with the Labor Board if there's no response. So that's been really eating up my time. I've never spoken to a lawyer as much in my entire life as I have recently, but it's been interesting kind of getting into the weeds of some of this and some of this stuff with the Labor Board and how that whole process works. As is usually the case with myself, you start seeing behind the curtain, and unfortunately you start seeing that there's a big chunk of it that's kind of, maybe maybe not quite what you thought it was going to be like, where I think sometimes you're expecting a firm fist. It's more like a light touch, so that's a little, it's not disappointing isn't the right word. It's just that it's the reality of these situations. So then today, I think we heard there's an article that came out about, speaking of film, Trump 100% tariffs on film and TV production coming into the country, into the United States. And I think some of this is my ignorance. Again, like we talked about before, I do understand the very basic premise of tariffs. I get it. You're wanting to keep work locally. When all this tariff talk was coming up, there was a lot of people in our industry looking how it was going to affect film. There's really no other way except for this. And that was the big thing. Like, potentially there's going to be something in place for the production themselves. And then we were also thinking that because of everything that happened in LA, they might want to make more of their film production there to kind of bolster their own economy, to bring them back to life a little bit. Film and TV production across the country, North America, has really died down to not nothing, but it's cut down a lot. We're really feeling it again. We're not a big city center for film production anyway. We have had our spike in the past number of years, but the way that it's playing out now is that it's like it was kind of 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I was starting. But now, instead of having 250 members, we've got 700 plus members. So now there's more people that are feeling that pinch, right? So the tariffs don't help, but I don't think that they're the full story as usual. This lack of film production has been happening for quite a while. It's not something that just turned on as soon as Trump became president. This tariffs thing, I don't necessarily put as much stock in it. I don't put a ton of stock in a whole bunch of stuff that fucking idiot says, because he keeps going back and forth and bringing back his word and et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, who the hell knows at the end of the day what's going to happen? The only thing that happens to me in times like this is, again, especially for film and TV production, why isn't there a fucking slate of Canadian productions propped up and ready to go? I understand that funding takes a bit of time for these projects. You don't just wake up one morning and you got the funding and everything for your film or TV or something. There's a lot to it. I totally understand that. I just think that, again, this is another situation where it gets pointed out to us that we have not done a good job here in Canada with bolstering some of our industry, and film and television industry is one of those. Yes, we do have avenues for a lot of Canadian stories and a lot of our own projects, but I don't think it's enough. We're too reliant on being service providers, basically, for the United States specifically. So I think that does a bit of a problem for us. And again, not just in film and TV, all sorts of areas. I had some other nugget that was there just for a brief second. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, it's just stuff that I've been thinking about that I thought I'd kind of share. I think it's still a bit of a wild ride for everybody as far as waking up to see what the decision is. And then when it gets retracted, who the hell knows what's going to happen? Everything is just topsy-turvy. At the end of the day, though, I really hope that we use this time to do some work for us, to do something to help ourselves out. And I hope that the recognition of being so reliant on another country for business, I really hope that it's a waking up moment. I still don't think it quite is. People in my circles, friends and people that I work with and things, it feels like there's still a lot of this is happening because it's Trump. Then there's also people that are, this is happening because it's Trump, but I'm still shopping at Walmart anyway. I'm still doing these things. It's, so there's all sorts of variety of people who are willing to engage. And again, I think that's where also why I like Andor, because it breaks down those kind of ideologies into these very basic groups, right? Again, very, very basic groups. There's not a ton of, I mean, I shouldn't say that. There's some complexity of character in Andor for sure. You do get to see into people's lives a little bit, but it is kind of breaking it down into these big chunks of different groups, right? So seeing that in real time, as we're going through this, as all of us are going through some version of what's going on with the United States, I think it really focuses you on some areas. I just hope that the focus for us stays there, even when the blue cunt gets into office, because it'll be the same messaging should be happening to some degree. I think the messaging is going to switch. I hope I'm wrong, but I really feel like the messaging is going to switch once that happens. Anyway, enough of that. What did we read? Read a bunch of stuff. So let's talk about some of the stuff I got for New Comic Book Day. So it's the first Saturday in May, and a bunch of the shops in town get comics in. We usually go to two of them, Galaxy Comics and 204 Comics. I love going to Galaxy Comics anyway. Any excuse to get down there and kind of have a look through their racks is always a good time to go. They're arguably the biggest of the comic shops in town, especially when it comes to new issues. They usually have a really good stockpile. They order kind of large numbers of books. So if I can't find something somewhere else, chances are I'm going to find it at Galaxy. They have a limit, I think, for 12 and under. It was 4 free comics. And if you're 13 and over, you can only pick 2. What they did also have, though, when we went to kind of pay out, because I picked up a couple of books off the shelf, which we'll talk about as well. They were giving away stacks of previous year's free comic book day books. The woman was saying that she thinks there might have been some books as far back as 2014 that they just had stockpiled. So she asked if we wanted a stack. And of course we said yes. So my daughter got the 4 books that she picked off the shelf, and then a nice big stack of comics as well, too. Probably like 12 to 15 more books. She took a bunch of them for herself, and there was a few she wasn't interested in. So she passed them on to me. So we'll have a look. And then after that, we went to 204 Comics. They do not have a limit, especially when it comes to kids. Ashley is so good with that stuff, encouraging, wanting to have more kids in the shop. So he has no limit. So Lillian had a field day there. And he also does a really good deal, layout of kind of all ages stuff in one section, young adult in another section, and then the few books that there was, I think there was 4 or 5 books in a section that were more like mature titles. So that's really nice. You could kind of send your kid one direction and know that they're going to get a wide variety of books. The one that I regret not getting was the Dr. Seuss collection of upcoming graphic novels. That whole concept is very bizarre to me. Shout out to Colin if he's watching. I think Colin was saying the same thing in a previews video of his. It's such a bizarre idea to me. Why the fuck are we doing Dr. Seuss graphic novels? The books are everywhere, new and used, and they're amazing. So I don't understand why you would want to do graphic novels. Now, because I didn't see it, I don't know if it's old Dr. Seuss books that are being adapted to graphic novels, or if these are some sort of new stories based on some Dr. Seuss characters. So I don't know the details. I hope it's the latter, because again, the idea of Fox in Socks as a graphic novel, it's a brilliant book. It's one of my all-time favorite Dr. Seuss books. I've read it a million times to both my kids, but it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, makes no sense. You can't improve on Seuss. Exactly right. Yeah. So that one I did miss. So I'll just start showing you the stuff that I have, and then we'll kind of drift into what I actually read from the New Comic Book Day stuff. So this one caught my attention, a Will Eisner comics biography. Stephen Weiner and Dan Mazer preview of his complete biography. Just the idea of a biography of Eisner was very appealing to me. I know that sometimes I feel like I'm in the minority. Sometimes I genuinely like a lot of his graphic novel work that I've read. I know that not everybody does, but I've always got a kick out of that stuff. Now, saying that, I haven't exactly sat down and reread that stuff multiple times or anything, but I did really enjoy it. The one thing I would say about this is I'm kind of surprised at the art style, I guess. Not that because you're doing a biography on Will Eisner, do you have to kind of mimic his style, not by any stretch. I'm just a little, as good as this art is, it feels really outside of maybe what I would have been expecting. I mean, I guess I think of like a Tom Scioli doing a Jack Kirby and Stan Lee books, and his style is not exactly mimicking that. But I mean, Scioli really has he's always had a bit of a Kirby touch on a bunch of his stuff anyway. So I don't know. I'm still curious about reading this. I'm wondering what it's going to be like. There's a couple of other books on the back here, more great graphic novels from NBM. So, and again, that's the other draw for this one. Anything NBM, I'm always willing to kind of give it a shot. IDW Free Comic Book Day that has 4 samples from 4 different books of theirs. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, The Rite of Spring, 30 Days of Night, Falling Sun, Tuatha, I think is what that says. And then the last story is Blood Honey. So this Beneath the Trees is something that's caught a lot of people's attention. Rasa herself as well was a big fan of the first story. I'm curious to dip into it. It's one of those that I'm really happy to see it as a Free Comic Book Day, because I'm not as sold on the concept. I see why it's appealing, and the art is really nice. There's nothing wrong with it. Just that idea isn't the most appealing to me on the face of kind of having this stuff that looks like a kid's book, but it's actually really horror. So I'm really curious to read it. I'm curious enough to give it a few pages a shot anyway. And then 30 Days of Night, another graphic novel series on this kind of, I don't know how old the original one is that it came out, but it feels like decades ago at this point. Yeah, doesn't look bad either. So this is the one that kind of caught my attention the most. I really, really like the art in this. This is Idea of Tuatha, and the creators on Tuatha are written and illustrated by Gavin Fullerton, and letters by Sandy Tanaka. I dig the art on this in a big way. There's something really pleasing about these layouts and these pages here, and just kind of the ink line on these characters. Little bit Paul Popish, little bit manga. Like this panel here really stood out to me. So yeah, that one I'm very excited to check that out, to see what it's like. And then the last story here, this Blood Honey, very colorful, much different than the rest of the stories in this one. So looks all right. I think that some of these next ones here are older ones. Oh no, this is a new one, 2025. Post Malone's Big Rig. Don't know anything about it. It just looked cool. The cover looked good. It's black and white interiors, and it was free. Yep. I understand the concept of the Free Comic Book Day sampler, but I'd much rather see companies just put out a special one-shot that's not a reprint. Yeah, I agree with you. And there's going to be one that we talk about here coming up that I kind of finished it and went like, what the fuck was the point of it? I mean, gives you a very, 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 very quick taste, but it's like, well, I could get a quick taste by looking it off the shelf, looking at it on the shelf. 2020. So this is Free Comic Book Day from 2020, Marvel Voices. I generally pick this stuff up. I find that there's been a number of the Marvel Voices stuff that's been pretty good. One of my favorite ones was the Indigenous one with Indigenous storytellers. I thought was cool. And there you go. Look at that. Speaking of Indigenous storytellers, there's my man there. who, of course, I'm going to blank on right now. Veregi, JJ, I can't remember, something like that. Veregi, I think. So since passed away, I believe. But there you go. So that might be kind of fun to dig through that. It might be stuff that I already have. Judgment Day, not really interested in it, but this was in the bundle that we got given. So I'll take it. Grimm's Fairy Tales, again, one that doesn't necessarily appeal to me in a big way because of this kind of thing. Like the interior art I find in a lot of these kind of titles, I mean, the covers themselves don't even appeal to me that much, besides the odd boobage. But the art in this stuff never really has kind of got my attention in any sort of way. So, and then an odd one, the Overstreet Guide to Collecting from 2019. So I'm sure there'll be some nuggets in here about what kinds of bags to use, what kind of tape to use, you know, classic nerd shit. So we'll have a flip through that at some point and maybe get a laugh. The Will Eisner one was pretty great. Bobby, how you doing? Yeah, cool. That's good to hear. Because I am curious about it. I will read it. That's that. Let's put these over here. And then from Galaxy as well, picked up the latest Ninja Turtles book 8, Kevin Eastman cover, which I was surprised at. Usually when Eastman does covers, those are the ones that sell out first, so I never get my hands on one. But there happened to be a couple of copies left. So, and just flipping through it, the same thing that Rasa has said. The art is so fucking amazing in this. It really bridges the gap between looking pretty modern but still having a nod to kind of classic Turtles. So it's Juan Ferreira. I'm assuming doing the coloring as well. Yeah, here we go. Like, look at this stuff. Looks really great. So looking forward to reading this. Am I still connected here? Looks to be. Yeah, there you go. Boom. Heavy Metal. Haven't read it yet. Issue number 1 is out. I'm glad I pre-ordered a copy. I've heard that it's kind of selling out in some places. I'm so glad I got myself one. This looks chock full of incredible stuff. Valentina is back. Bilal is in here as well too. Kirchner is back in here. Linsner is in here. Vigil, Rugg, Moore, whole bunch of people. Like, it is just full. It is a beefy issue. So the cover price on this one is $14.99. Legacy number 321. I'm pretty excited that I didn't realize how excited I was going to be that this has come back, but flipping through it, I'm really goddamn excited to see this again. The kind of talent that even just on a flip through is incredible, and the variety in this is incredible. So I will be sticking with this for a while. And again, because I kind of have this on my pull list from 204 Comics, he does give you a little bit of a discount when you have a pull list. So that ends up saving me a couple of bucks. I mean, look at the variety and just kind of the 3 or 4 pages we've looked at already, just kind of turning to random sections. So very excited that Heavy Metal is back. We'll see how it is. Obviously, it'll be the usual comment of the good thing about anthologies is there's some good and there's some bad. But we'll see how this shapes up. I don't know if this is a bi-monthly thing, if this is a couple of times a year. I don't know what the plan is for this book, but I'll be sticking around for sure. There you go. So there you go. The free comic book day manga you showed earlier today has a preview from the guy who made yes, I'm definitely talking about that one. I did sit and read that one this evening, and it's incredible. Actually, I'm very excited about that book. As we kind of continue with just stuff that I've got recently, Facebook Comic Addicts page for Winnipeg here, there was an auction. I haven't really dipped into too many of the Facebook auctions recently anymore. The few that I do kind of quickly scroll through, there's not normally a ton of stuff for me. This one, however, yielded Gore Shriek from 2020. What's it called? Gore Shriek Delectos from 2020 with a amazing Rolf Stark cover, and also a bunch of Rolf Stark interiors, including pinups and a story that he did with his daughter. His daughter wrote it and he did the art for it. So Rolf Stark, the guy from Rain. So really, really nice score on that. And there was the variety of covers that came out. And same thing, really nice glossy book with some pretty wild interior art that really runs the gamut of stuff that you'd be expecting to see. Here's some from Rolf Stark and his daughter. This is the layout for this entire short story, like a kid's letter here, and then some paintings on the other side. So I'm looking forward to digging into that one. Let's show you a bit more art here from some of the stories. It's another sample there. They also do a nice little write-up of the creators at the beginning of each of the short stories. So that's really nice to get a little bit of backstory on them. And there you go. So yeah, excellent score. Let's see. So then we'll get into what I read. Correct? What's under here? Nothing there. Yeah, we'll get into what I read. So free comic book day shit. Let's start with this one then that we were just talking about. So it's Isaac, and then there's Tower Dungeon is the other one. So this was really great. This is one of those where it's such a tiny sample that I don't expect to get like a kind of a full story with these free comic book day stuff. But this one seemed such a tiny sample for this Isaac especially, that it was also like, it just sort of felt like I don't really understand the point of it. You don't really get too much of a flavor of the story for Isaac. I'll just kind of start there and show you that stuff. It looks good and everything. I don't know if this is something that I would pick up though based on this. So I think like as a piece of promotional material, it didn't catch me. I didn't read this and go, I've got to get the book. It left me going meh. What did get me interested though is this Tower Dungeon. So first things first, I didn't realize that I want to make sure that I get his name proper here. Tsutomu Nihai, I believe, is how you pronounce his name. I didn't realize he had so many books over here. Blam is the one that I am reading. The other three I've never heard of. This Tower Dungeon looks fantastic. He somehow manages to find a way to have his sort of world building and liminal spaces and structures that seem enormous that you can't really get a handle on in a fantasy setting, as their, you know, one of the first captions. What does that say? Dungeon Tower level 60. And they start talking about the big space that's laid out in front of them. I think there's a couple of shots of it too here. Where are we going here? We get some shots of them kind of climbing up these exterior stairs to kind of get to next levels. This caught my attention. It felt, yeah, here we go. It felt right away that this is a creator who has kind of a voice, and it stood out pretty heavily with this. And I also love the look of his art in here as well. I also love his art in Blam as well. But there's their kind of discovery when they kind of breach one of the levels there. So it does a nice job of giving you a little bits and pieces of the world, gives you a general idea of what's going on, but there's still 1.5 million questions. But that's one that I'm going to be getting for sure. So from Kodansha, coming June 2025, the American Manga Awards nominee, Isaac. I'd flip through it if I saw it on the bookshelf, but like I said, the sample for that Isaac didn't really stick with me too much. One of the better free comic book day books that I've read so far is this Godzilla one, surprisingly enough. I didn't think that Yes, I'm a fan of Godzilla. One thing that I realized, tape on a plastic bag. There we go. One thing that I realized going to the shop and looking on the shelves, there's a fucking buttload of Godzilla books out there, man. So there's almost maybe too much, you might say. So seeing this, it's like, oh my God, there's going to be more Godzilla. I thought that this was just one story, the New Heroes, but it's actually 3 different short stories or 3 different pieces of new Godzilla series that are going to be coming out. So with the Godzilla stuff, they like to do a bunch of miniseries. 2 of these seemed incredible, really, really interesting. The main drive for me with the 2 was the art. This first one here with Tim Seeley was the only one that didn't really catch my attention. So we'll look at Dead Zone, Escape the Dead Zone, and Starship Godzilla. So I mean, you can see stuff like that. It just, there's something about that that doesn't really pull me in any sort of way. But so Escape from the Dead Zone, this one was probably the one that caught my attention the most. Some sort of bounty hunter that's a mutant that can also mutate, that goes after monsters and things in some weird, I don't know if it's supposed to be a post-apocalyptic world or what it's supposed to be, but it's filled with monsters. And I mean, that page is great. There's something about that art style I really, really like. So I'm very excited about this one, just to see what the hell this is about there, but kind of has a Cholian flytrap kind of vibe to some of this stuff here. Or maybe even Bakshi's Wizards. You know, there's something about that image that is very familiar in an oddball kind of way. And then Starship Godzilla, on the face, it looked like kind of American manga, or, you know, any million Power Rangers kind of things. But there was something interesting about this. Again, they seem to be kind of a criminal element that is traveling through space to commit like heists and crimes. In this case, they're going after some eggs. I'm assuming that the eggs are going to be for some big kaiju. The Godzilla appearance is here because Godzilla is their ship that they're going and flying around on. So that kind of got my attention. These pages too look pretty nice. So yeah, ones that if I remember, I'll pick them up off the shelf for sure. So not a bad little read, though. That one, I feel like, did its job. And then the last, I think, Free Comic Book Day book from this year that I read, I've been hearing so many mixed things about the new EC books that are out there, and the couple that I've flipped through haven't really done much for me. I've never picked one up, or never even felt like I wanted to pick one up. So again, this one has 3 short stories. The one that interested me the most, I think, was this first one, Blood Type. I mean, I guess the first thing that surprised me about this is, I mean, I guess I didn't expect them all to actually be black and white stories, but the kind of really poppy colors on everything surprised me quite a bit. So this first one is called Blood Type, which is going to be an ongoing about a vampire who finds herself on a ship, on a boat rather, that is, she's sucked the blood of the captain and thrown him overboard. So now the ship is about to sink, so she has to get everybody off the board into the life raft, where she can kind of devour them one by one over a course of a few days. There was a kind of comedic tone to almost all of these, which I think also surprised me a little bit. I guess I expected it to be more kind of Twilight Zone-y type of episodes, or have that kind of feel to it, or Outer Limits. But there was something pretty appealing about this art, and just kind of the way the story was going. Again, not one I'm going to rush out to grab, but I'd probably look at an issue if I saw it on the shelf. This next one, The Champion, had a really nice look to it as well, but the story was just incredibly dull. The last 2 stories, actually, they didn't do anything for me. It just seemed ridiculous. You think that you're hearing from the human in this, but of course you're not. You're hearing from the dinosaur, and he's talking about his family and how much he loves to kill now and what the hell's happened to me. So it just felt kind of lame by the end of it, like that it was maybe supposed to be this kind of ooh moment, but and then of course I think the message of like, you know, who are the real monsters kind of thing is in there too, which I feel is kind of played out quite a bit. And then this last one, Death and Pickaxes. Again, just the whole premise was pretty stupid. It's like one of the seven dwarfs. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know what you're supposed to get out of this, or if there's anyone out there that would truly just love this. I'm sure there is. That person is not me, though. So, yeah, the art was nice enough, but nothing about that really held my interest. So that's it for the free comic book day stuff. A couple of other new issues that I picked up that I read. Oops. Issue 2 of the new Mothra, Queen of the Monsters. Speaking of Godzilla, man, this was a pretty good issue. Again, the art in this, I think, is wild. It's so kind of busy, and I mean, the pages are still very, very readable there, but there's something about the density of it that I really, really like, and I can't quite put my finger on what that is. I think it's because in each of the panels, the characters take up a lot of space in the panel, so you don't get a lot of like, you do get some kind of wider shots and things like this, right, to kind of give you a sense of space, but everything is almost everything else is in these kind of medium close-up shots that really kind of feel energetic, but do tend to make the pages a little busy. But overall, though, this was a really fun issue. We have a time loop going on here. I won't kind of bore you with some of that stuff because that part of the storytelling was a little tedious, but that's okay because the art is fucking beautiful. So I'm digging this book. I'm going to stick with this one for sure. Like I said, even if the story wasn't the best thing that I've ever read. Yeah, I picked up a decent amount of those new EC books, but they are overall pretty disappointing. I keep getting suckered by the issues having creators I like, and I put faith in them, but they've let me down. Yeah, that seems to be the case. They look great. The art looks nice enough and everything, and even seeing them on the shelves, like they have a nice design to them and everything, but I don't know. I feel like there's so many other, I mean, immediately when I think of horror or anthologies and stuff, like I think of something like Vacuum Decay, and it's like, man, get Vacuum Decay on the shelves. Fuck this other stuff. Like there's some really good shit. Or I think of what we're going to talk about in a bit, Reptile House, some of their anthologies. Like those are fucking amazing anthologies that I wish were on the shelves everywhere with some distribution. The Seasons, rather, issue number 4. Even though I really dislike the idea of this carnival and these evil carnival people, like I just really don't like it at all. This was a solid issue. This issue, or this series rather, is getting better with each issue. Every single one giving us a little more context. I do like the overall art style. She's doing some reading of some research that her father, I think, was doing. All paths lead back to the legend of the Wanderer King. As a reporter, I deal in facts, not folklore, but I can't shake this tale. I've discovered versions in numerous languages, and each one tells the same story. So it just kind of talks about this research, this sort of like they say, this sort of folklore of this king who doesn't feel like he has enough admirers. So he talks to his council or his wizard or witch or something. So he sought the aid of a witch to help him. He made a deal that in 500 years, he would come and replace her. She gives him a mirror, and for 500 years, he basically walks around looking at his own reflection, feeling the adulation that he feels he so rightly deserves, even up to his final moment where he happily comes back, climbs in, so she gets free, and he kind of replaces her in her kind of lot in life. So it's a neat idea. I think it looks really nice too. I am really curious where it's going to go. So I'm sticking with it for sure. It's gotten better since that first issue. Like I said, though, the carnival thing, the evil carnival thing, really just makes me groan a little bit, to be honest. So, but who knows? Maybe that'll reap some rewards eventually. So seasons. I'm getting Mothra, but not a fan of Sophia Campbell. Matt's top tier Godzilla art. Yeah, I mean, the Stoko stuff is such great Godzilla art. There's been a few really good series. That Godzilla in Hell, I don't know if we've ever talked about it before too on here, but that Godzilla in Hell was one that I remember really, really enjoying. And I think it was based on the fact that there was a lot of different artists involved with it. What do we got here? We'll do these. So the other one I picked up was the final issue of Death of Copra by Michelle Fife, issue number 4. So this is now it. This now leads up to Copra issue number 50, where everything is going to come to an end, according to Michelle in this one. I just am stunned by every single issue of this. This one is a pretty fantastic ride throughout. I just adore every single goddamn panel. I love the background coloring. I love the foreground character design. I love the the rhythm of this issue specifically, where we're kind of getting this feels like a best of, like the final fight. Let's see one more time everybody's kind of signature moves or something like that, right? Like it feels like the climax of a good old action movie or something. So it's so much fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing what issue 50 is. And every time I read this book, every time I read these issues, Death of Copra, I want to kind of keep going back and starting from the beginning. Even though the one time I tried, I really didn't make it very far because I lost interest pretty damn quick. But it looks great. And I'll be curious what he's going to do next, or if this is actually going to be the end of the Copra universe, or if it's going to get some spin-off or whatever. So again, we get some process pages in the back. He writes a little bit of a letter just outlining, I can't believe I've made it. Some more process stuff there. And then a Copra catalog as well too. Outlining all of the trades that have come out and what issues they contain. And then this final page here with a big Copra collection and some of the other work that he's done at the bottom too. So Copra 50 coming out. Says coming this June. Issue number 50. We'll see. Does that continue from the... Oh, no, it doesn't, from the inside front. So great series. Again, even if you've never read any Copra and you just want to experience some very vibrant storytelling and gorgeous art, this 4-issue miniseries ain't a bad place to start. You won't know what the hell's going on, but again, I don't think you really need to appreciate how good this looks. Gatchaman, Only One Earth, issue number 3. So I think it's one more to go on this one. This one is kind of ramped up quite a bit. We're still in this kind of underground layer where there's these spores that have been ingested by some people, and it's kind of mutated them and kind of made them one with the surroundings. There's a real moment here where you feel like maybe they're getting affected by the kind of spores that are in the air, and they sort of have this, 2 of our characters here. Let's see if I can find it. 2 of our characters have a moment where they sit and kind of have say a prayer, and she kind of talks to him the story of her people. So we almost get this little psychedelic kind of moment as they're tripping balls down in these caves. It's good, man. It's pretty fun stuff. Yeah, not much else to report on it. Again, this isn't a mind-blowing storytelling, but it's a pretty fun little ride there, because I love the fact that it sort of mimics or mirrors what you might see on TV in a certain era. So there's the cover for issue number 4. Yeah, so Gatchaman. And then the last 3 here, let's do this one first. Oh no, there's 4 left here. So let's do this one first. Bigfoot issue number 1. I've only got issue number 1 and 3. I didn't read issue 3, but I couldn't resist kind of dipping into this one anyway while I still look for 2 and 4. I've realized for quite a while now that I just don't like Rob Zombie anymore, and haven't for quite a long time. I was a huge fan of White Zombie when they came out. Their first album, I remember I had on cassette tape. There was something about their performances. There was something about, and then when he did what was his first movie? Was it House of a Thousand Corpses? I went and saw that. I saw his second movie in the theater as well too. And I think that's when it really started to go south for me, seeing those movies. I just didn't think any of them were very good. And then my son and I went to see Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie live here in Winnipeg, because my son was a huge Marilyn Manson fan at one point. I think that concert single-handedly killed his affection for Marilyn Manson, because he was a fucking prick that show, and he really just seemed to be calling it in. So it was really a kind of waste of money. So the first chunk of this comic, I feel like it's a lost highway kind of thing. The first chunk of the comic, maybe it was more Rob Zombie taking the lead, and then Niles taking the lead afterwards. But this is where it kind of turned around here, with this Bigfoot come crashing through the side of the goddamn building to ruin this kid's life. Let's just say this child who then is plagued with nightmares. It really takes an interesting turn. The cops finally come. I mean, this is an older book, so I'm going to show you a spoiler anyway. So there you go. So this is kind of the scene that the child ends up seeing. His father being torn apart and his mother being dragged out into the night. So he ends up having these kind of nightmares. When the cops come to investigate, one of them finds some tracks out in the bush and then erases them to kind of go, to kind of hide the fact of what potentially was out there. So there's a little bit of a mystery involved here as well too. So it really got interesting, because when it started, I'm like, God damn it, why is some of this stuff that's so hard to find and is actually a couple of dollars more than I'd like to pay always so fucking boring? But this one thankfully made a really nice turn towards the last half. So I will gladly keep digging for the other 2 issues that I'm missing. Talked about this one, with Rasa this afternoon. Probably shout out to Jerk Comics on YouTube. I'll try to remember to put a link to his channel and this video specifically where he talks about this live stream. This is probably one of the best looking bootlegs I think I've ever seen. This looks like a Turtles book. My only very, 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 very small criticism is I wish they would have kind of tried to use the stock like they would have with those old Ninja Turtles, because this does feel very modern, which is great because it wasn't the cheapest thing to get shipped to me for one single fucking comic book. But I could not pass this up. It just looked too legit. And if you think the front cover and the back cover looked incredible, once you open it up and see his rendition of the Turtles and see the pages, it's even more of a sell. It's really, really goddamn stunning. The only thing that they haven't nailed with this is the writing. The writing, this story it has a couple of moments, and I guess it's it's an interesting basic premise. I just wish it ratcheted up a little faster, or maybe the issue was a little bit longer so we could get a little bit more information by the end of it, or at least some sort of fight scene or some sort of realization to keep you coming back. This one came out a couple of years ago, 2023. There is a promise of a second issue in the back of this one. But when looking on the Futakigo website there, I didn't see a second issue. So I don't know if that actually came to fruition. That's the creators there, Isaac Stone and Casey Bragg. But man, oh man, this looks fucking amazing. It really, really looks good. Jerk Comics was saying, and it's one of those books that in the future, if this kind of gets out there and is put in with Ninja Turtles, you'd be kind of hard pressed to not think this was a Mirage Studios book, because it really has that feel to it. Let's see, what did I miss here? It's been a long time since I've read Bigfoot, so I can't remember the plot too well, but that Corbin art is stellar as ever. Yeah, it's really, really good. Meant to ask you earlier today, where does one find this Turtles bootleg to order? So I got mine on eBay. This Futikigo Studios. So it's spelled Futekigo Studios. I think they have a website as well that you can order straight from them. Doesn't say a website on here though, but I think if you just type in that Futikigo Studios, something should come up. Is it up there? No, it's not. But yeah, like I said, I got mine on eBay. They're same seller name on eBay as well too. So let's see, 2 more books to go here. There's some companies that I'm going to kind of do this in reverse. There's some companies that I really feel like they're doing a top-notch job in the kind of independent self-publishing world. I said it already. Vacuum Decay is right high on that list. But honestly, everything that I have from Reptile House puts them kind of at the top of that list too. There's really just quality book after quality book coming out from Reptile House. And then the production on the books is getting even better, that it really feels to me like you can't go wrong picking anything up from Reptile House, and you're going to get a unique experience. Hollow Press is one of the companies I think that has a real cult following, but has the opposite effect on me. I read this, this I got locally here. Fantasy Club Books has been bringing in a bunch of Hollow Press stuff, which is incredible because it's from Italy and the shipping on it is fucking outrageous. So it's great that he's managed to figure out a way to bring some stuff in. And then I can kind of pick and choose the little bits and pieces here. Like I said, I don't have a ton from Hollow Press. There's been a number of books that I've really liked from them. But this is, I think that they feel like, to me personally, one of the companies where I don't think I could just pick up anything and enjoy it. I didn't really get much out of this other than, I guess, the art was pretty great. The production on it was all right as well. I think one of the things that kind of frustrated me a little bit was, you know, all of that white space around the images here. I don't really know why the book has to be this big if there's that much space. It's sort of it's a boyfriend, it's a boy, a man and a woman in a relationship. As you can see, having some sex right off of the top. She goes and cleans up. He decides to take that minute or 5 or 10 or 20 to go down to a bar he's heard of where you can hook up with random women. It kind of goes south from there, let's just say. So it felt like it was a one-trick pony as far as just kind of being something horrific. Of course, things aren't going to work out well for this guy. You can see that coming from a mile away, but it just didn't interest me that much. You know, there was nothing really. It's not that the art is bad or anything, but it doesn't kind of engage me. It doesn't have any kind of really, really unique character that has me in awe or anything like that. Whereas when we think of, or when I think of Reptile House, it feels like there's so many books that they have put out that even just based on the cover art alone, I'm already sold, and it's already something I've never really seen before. Gorgeous. This Christian Santiago is his name, who's done both the inside and the outside covers. Gorgeous art. We'll have a look at his Instagram page in a second here. But big fan of his. And then the other standout for me in this one, I think she's a new addition to the Reptile House roster. Renata Rojo is someone else that this storytelling for this particular story by her really feels like a unique reading experience for me. It seems it reads very fluid. It reads like memories. It reads like this first page kind of sets the tone for it. The sun is setting on another long day in hell, a day lost to desire and grief. My thoughts are plagued by your love. So it just has this feeling that it's recouping the day or remembering the day in these kind of little, really short snippets, but sort of kind of fluidly laid out. And obviously there's a couple of memories that stand out a little more than others, snapshots of people's faces. And it sort of has that feel for the rest of the story. You feel like it's very, very fluid storytelling. There's no kind of direction that you're supposed to go as far as reading through the page. So your eye can kind of wander from even image to image, page to page, catching the little pieces of text that are kind of sometimes buried on the page. I like this one a lot. I want more from Renata. And I checked out her page as well too, which we'll have a look at in a second. And all of the art on there is equally incredible. So very, very interested. And again, this is why I love this shit. This is why I love. And then you get stories like this as well too, with another creator whose name is going to escape me till I get to the last page here. Noel Freibert. So a really diverse range of cartoonists. Nicole Rodriguez is in here as well too. Nick Bunch is in here as well, doing a pretty great kind of almost fantasy type story. I really like the way he's done the backgrounds in this one. They feel like it's just in pencil, and then he's only inked the characters to really have them pop from the background. But that kind of penciled background has a really great effect, especially all the brick that kind of take up the majority of the page and sort of create the panels like they're different rooms. Really, really nice work on this one. Nick Bunch has been there since issue number 1, I believe, of Reptile House, when he was doing that Bloodhorn series that kind of got put together in one book. So this is issue number 2 of a Cyanide Swamp, by the way. And I think it's still available on the Reptile House webpage as well. I don't know if the first one is. Let's see. Cyanide Swamp. Yeah, it looks like Cyanide Swamp number 1 is available as well. So let's have a look through some links here so I can sort of show you some stuff. I mean, I'm sure we've looked through most of these already, but let's have another dip. Is it this one? Where the heck is it? Right here. There we go. So a 2025 calendar, risographed calendar, which unfortunately has sold out. I missed the boat on that one. There you can see Nosebleed that we've talked about. There's another Nick Bunch, Desert Rats, Round World Thinking. There's Nosebleed number 1. So the anthology itself is up to issue number 12. There's the Tia Roxay, The Glass Chamber that we've talked about here before. Love that book. There's Blank Frames from Nicole Rodriguez. Issue number 10 of Reptile House. So maybe 9 was the last one I got of the anthology. So I think I might be a few issues behind on that one there. So there's Bloodhorn. So yeah, very, very much worth it. And I've got to do, like I did this afternoon, I got to give a big shout out to Chaos on Comics, Chris, because I think it was him who first got me turned on to Reptile House when he was talking about those anthologies. Get some of this Reptile House. Honestly, I would give this Cyanide Swamp issue number 2 a try. I would give Nosebleed number 1 a try, and then just pick any one of the Reptile House anthologies, any one of them. I think you can't go wrong with, just because it gives you a nice sampling of art. I can't speak on the last 3 issues of the Reptile House, 12, 11, and 10, because I don't have those, but any of the first 9, I would say pick those. Yeah, and I think if you're digging some of the stuff I talk about on here, Dan, I think that those will give you kind of a good sampling of what they have on offer. But honestly, anything that they have, I think, is worth it. Bloodhorn being kind of about a band you might get a kick out of. I do find that Nick's art takes a little bit of getting used to, so it might not always be the most fluid. I don't know if it's the best way into the Reptile House world, as much as I do like it. I would just be kind of wary of that one potentially. Yeah, no worries there, Dan. No worries. Let's see what else we'll share. Where is she? Is this her here? Yes. So this is Renata Rojo. Let's go back. So here is just some art pieces from her portfolio. So she hasn't done many comics. She hasn't done much comics work yet. I'm hopeful that they kind of convince her to do some more. Her art is really amazing. I'm assuming her. That's a big assumption on my part. But I really love the style. I really love the look of each of these pieces. Again, I like that idea of having a piece that kind of has a flow to it that does very much feel like a comic. I mean, look at the colors on this one as well, too. So each piece seems to tell a story in a little bit of a different way than just kind of like a portrait or a painting or a comic. It's sort of, it seems to blend those worlds together really nicely. An artist I would love to maybe get some original art from, if I'm honest. Let's scroll down some more. Commissioned projects. There's a bunch of t-shirt designs there. I don't think there isn't a store on here or anything. It's more just a collection of stuff that she's done. Yeah, it all looks amazing. Like, look at this album, Cloud Rat. Never heard of Cloud Rat. Oh, does that take? Hey, look at that. It takes you somewhere. Let's just add that to the wish list right now. Yeah, so there you go. A nice sampling. So there's these magazine covers. Must be, yeah, these are pages that I haven't really spent a lot of time looking at yet. I just have found them and left them open. Anyway, I'm starting to just browse now like I'm not doing a fucking live stream. So that's about it. Let's just call it there. I'll put some links in the description of this one so you can check stuff out after the fact. Thanks very much for hanging out. Dan, nice to see you. Bubby, nice to see you as well. Anybody else that I missed? No. So we won't be around next weekend for our chat, but I'll be back on Sunday night for kind of a wrap of everything I've read this week. Good to see everybody, and we'll talk to you. Laters.